Thank you very much for turning back in. My name is Fonny. In my channel, I talk about my houseplant and also my Hoyas. And in today's video, it is a follow-up video on my previous one that I made talking about my Milsbo. I realized that it would be quite useful for you to take a look at my setup. So in case you wanted to have a similar idea for your Hoyas, you have a bit of understanding of how I used it. So I wanted to go through 5 points for today's video, so then I can explain what are the difficulty that I have encountered and also how I try to solve the problem. So first is the most important part is the lighting. Secondly is ventilation around the cabinet. Thirdly is humidity. Fourthly is how I arrange the racks. And lastly is about the cable management. So let's take a look at the Milsbo right now. So here is the Milsbo, starting off with the first point, that is the lighting. The difficult part for me to identify which one is the best is I want to make sure that the coverage of the light could be as extensive as possible, because the Milsbo is around 60 centimeters long and I want to make sure that the light is long enough, so one light on each rack would be sufficient for all of my Hoyas. A lot of them are using LED, which I prefer because LED light, I found it is less heat producing. So in terms of the heating up within the Milsbo would be less of a problem if you use an LED. I haven't used any light bulbs or kind of like the T5 inside the Milsbo, so I can't really speak for that. But from my experience, I found using LED is the most cost saving, and also it produced the least heat. So which one did I choose for my Milsbo? I found the one that is from Spider Farm actually fits perfectly in the Milsbo. The only downside that I found about the Spider Farm is it's very expensive because I need to install it in each of the rack. As you can see, it cost a lot of money to set that up, but for my preference is that if I can find a light that could last for very long and it produce effective electricity to provide sufficient light for my plant, then I would consider it as a good investment. And then we move on to the second most important is the ventilation. Let's talk about what's the importance to keep your Milsbo having a good ventilation is to make sure you don't have mold that stack up within a small area. And the second part that in my personal experience, is there is a specific type of bugs that will form if the air is not circulated, if it's in really stuffed kind of environment. I can show you a picture of that bug that I am mentioning. So this really can help the plant to stay healthy. And another point is if the Milsbo is too humid, for example, up to 95%, if people will add additional humidifier inside, it could have crazy high humidity. And without a circulation, that could have potential droplet. That has like droplet of water that has been condensed on top of the leaf surface. And this could be a problem because this could have some damages. You probably can see some red spots that happened because of overcondensation of water on the surface of the leaf. And with regard to the difficulty that I found to choose the right fan is I want to have a very effective one. I don't really mind the look of the fan because it's more important to be a very useful one instead of a very fancy looking. And the most important part is to be easy to hook on the rack that I have. And also the positioning is easy for me to adjust. So it's easier for me to know which direction is the best for my plants. So we can take a look at that, and I can also show you which one I have gotten. So this particular fan, these are used to be for computers, but if you can hear, it is very, very quiet. Yeah, so I'm very happy with the noise cancellation ability. And this one comes into 2 in a pack, which means that I only need 1 USB to have 2 of them. And then we move on to the third part, that is the humidity. When I watch different videos of people set up over Milsbo, I realized that people will put an additional humidifier inside the Milsbo. First of all, I don't want to spend extra space for an additional object that is not plant inside the Milsbo, so I prefer not to do that. And second of all, which also is the most important part, is I don't prefer to keep my Hoyas in a way too high humidity. Not that they don't prefer, it's just that it's much easier to cause other problem. For example, the increase of molding problem, increase of the overcondensation of the leaf problem, and it's much easier to have bugs, I realize, if it's too humid around, and also the ventilation is not good enough. So what I prefer is keep it around 70 to 80% of humidity. I found that is the sweet spot to keep the Hoyas happy, but at the same time the ventilation could be pretty good. So what I have done is I just added some water plates around my Hoya. So then when the heat evaporates the water, the air will generally have more moisture within the environment. And an additional, when you put more plant inside the Milsbo, the environment automatically will level up the humidity. So I think with my current setup, without a humidifier, I can also achieve around maybe 70 to 90% of humidity even sometime. But one thing that I think is very important for you to do is to open up the Milsbo maybe during the night time. This could let fresher air to get inside instead of only circulating the existing air, because eventually those air will become old, and is much better to bring in fresh air. But obviously it depends on your preference. That's just what I did. At night I will open it a little bit so then fresh air can get inside. Then we move on to the fourth part, that is the racket. As you can see in my Milsbo, I don't keep the glass that comes with the Milsbo. The main reason is because I want to have a better circulation within the entire Milsbo cabinet. I think it will still work if you have a glass separating a different level. The only thing about the glass is it's very difficult for me to add cables and also stack up the light. I can show you a closer look how I mounted it. I just purchased it in a Wear store in where I live. So I think these ones are quite easy to find around different countries. And another thing is, for mine it's not big enough, so I need to add something like this to extend the hold, so then I can hold the rack. But apart from that, it's not a problem at all, and it's very easy to just mount it because there are many holes that has already existed in the Milsbo setting. And the last part is the cable management. I think for this point, it is mostly because of the look of your Milsbo. It is nothing really much about the practicality reason, but I want to go through that because that is much more good to look at in your Milsbo if you try to fix the cables. And there is one tip that I have found on YouTube that a lot of people who own the Milsbo will drill a hole either on top or on the bottom. For my preference, I want to keep the cable above, so then if there's any leakage, hopefully there's none, nothing will really touch the cable. And also underneath, I can do vacuum cleaning, and it's so easy for me to keep everything tidy and clean. So I did only drill one hole, which is on the above. Another reason why I don't want to drill a hole beneath is because there are two layers of the bottom layer of the Milsbo, which means that it takes double the effort to do the same thing. So I just want one hole to be drilled, so I have it above. But one important thing that you should have in mind is to choose which drill bits to use, because there are multiple different drill bits. Some of them are only for wood, some of them have the indication of drilling metal is also possible. I can show you which one I have chosen. And another part is to be patient, because we are talking about real metal. It's not especially thick, but it is metal to begin with. And I can also show you what kind of accessories that I have used for my cable management to look at more blending to my Milsbo. So we can take a look. So here you see the accessory that I have bought for the hole that I've drilled. This one is mostly for the office desk, but it fits perfectly in the Milsbo, and then all of the cable can go through the same exit. And here you see I also bought this track. It is also mainly for cable management in an apartment, so then people can stick this one to the wall. And I found this one to be extremely good looking, and it fits all of the cable that I have. So basically it's a perfect essential accessory in my opinion for my Milsbo. Thank you very much to watch until now. I hope you enjoyed the video and it could give you some information on how you can set up your own Milsbo. If you are interested in this type of content, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you have additional question on my setup or any question that you want to know about my Hoyas, you can also leave your comment in the comment box down below. Until next time, I wish everyone is having a good day and also stay safe. See you next time. Bye.